China just did something that Washington said was completely impossible, something that the Netherlands said would take a decade, something that the entire Western semiconductor world dismissed as wishful thinking, and they did it not in 10 years, not in 5. They did it while the United States was still busy congratulating itself on the export ban. Right now, sitting inside a high-security laboratory in Shenzhen, there's a Chinese-built machine generating extreme ultraviolet light. The exact same kind of light that drives every single cutting-edge chip inside your phone, your laptop, every AI server, every military system on the planet. And the people who built it? They used to work for the very company that everyone said had a permanent monopoly. This is not a rumor. This is not propaganda. The evidence is stacking up fast, and today I am going to walk you through exactly what happened, how they did it, what it actually means, and why both Washington and Amsterdam should be very, very nervous right now. Before we go any further, if you are into this chip war stuff, hit subscribe right now because this story is moving fast and I cover every update the moment it breaks. Now let us get into it. Let me start by taking you back to 2019 because that is where this whole chess match began. The United States government made a decision. They looked at the global semiconductor supply chain and they found what they thought was the perfect choke point. One company on the entire planet builds the machine that makes the most advanced chips. One company, not two, not three, one. That company is ASML, based in Eindhoven in the Netherlands. So Washington leaned on the Dutch government and said, do not let ASML sell its most advanced machines to China. The Dutch agreed. And just like that, Beijing was locked out of the technology that makes modern artificial intelligence possible. The machine in question is the EUV lithography system. EUV stands for Extreme Ultraviolet. And what it does sounds almost like science fiction when you actually think about it. Inside a chip factory, you need to print circuits onto silicon. But the circuits in today's most advanced chips are so unbelievably tiny that you cannot see them with any optical microscope. We're talking about features that are smaller than a single virus. To print anything that small, you need light with an incredibly short wavelength. Regular light, even the invisible ultraviolet light that gives you sunburn, is still way too large. You need extreme ultraviolet light at a wavelength of just 13.5 nanometers. To give you some perspective, a strand of human hair is about 80,000 nanometers wide. That is how precise we're talking about. Now, here is the brutal part. Generating usable EUV light at industrial scale is one of the hardest engineering problems human beings have ever solved. It took ASML literally 2 decades and billions of dollars in research just to get to a working commercial machine. And their method, when you actually hear how it works, sounds like something from a science fiction movie. Every single second, inside an ASML machine, a system fires approximately 50,000 tiny droplets of molten tin through a chamber. Each droplet gets hit by a high-powered CO2 laser. Not once, but twice. The first pulse reshapes the droplet into a flat disk. The second pulse detonates it into a superheated plasma cloud. That plasma radiates extreme ultraviolet light. That light then bounces off a series of incredibly precise mirrors and gets focused down onto a silicon wafer, printing circuits with atomic-level accuracy. That process is called laser-produced plasma, or LPP. It works. TSMC uses it, Samsung uses it, Intel uses it, and it is the exact process that has been completely banned from export to China since 2019. So China had a choice. Accept permanent technological inferiority and watch the West build an AI advantage that compounds every single year, or do something about it. And what they chose to do about it is genuinely one of the most audacious industrial strategies in modern history. In December 2025, Reuters published an exclusive investigation that shook the semiconductor world. According to sources with direct knowledge of the program, a team based in Shenzhen had completed a functional EUV prototype earlier that same year. The machine was operational. It was generating extreme ultraviolet light. And the people who built it were not random engineers starting from scratch. According to Reuters, the team included former ASML engineers, people who spent years working on EUV systems in the Netherlands, learning the deepest technical secrets of the world's most complex machine, and then moved to China. The operation was so secretive that employees were reportedly given fake identification documents to protect the project from foreign intelligence. Think about that for a second. Fake IDs inside a semiconductor lab. This is not a normal engineering project. This is an espionage-level industrial operation. The scale of the effort is staggering. The reporting describes it as China's version of the Manhattan Project. Huawei is at the center, coordinating a web that spans dozens of companies and state research institutes, involving thousands of engineers working across the country simultaneously. The signing bonuses they were offering to attract talent were 3 to 5 million Chinese yuan per person. That is roughly 400,000 to 700,000 US dollars, plus housing subsidies. One engineer specifically named in the reporting is someone referred to as Alina Noon, formerly ASML's head of light source technology, whose team reportedly filed a flood of critical EUV patents in just 18 months after arriving in China. You banned the machine, so they hired the people who designed it. That is the response. And strategically, you have to acknowledge the brilliance of that move, even if you do not agree with the methods. Now here is where it gets technically fascinating. China did not try to build an exact copy of the ASML machine. They could not, partly because of patents, partly because many of the precision components ASML relies on are also controlled by allied countries like Germany. Instead, they went through a different door to reach the same room. The ASML approach uses that molten tin droplet and laser method, LPP. The Chinese prototype takes a different route called laser-induced discharge plasma, or LDP. Instead of firing lasers at falling tin droplets, the LDP method vaporizes tin between two electrodes, often described as rotating tin-coated disks, and then hits the resulting tin cloud with a massive high-voltage electrical discharge. That electrical jolt converts the tin vapor into plasma, and the plasma radiates the exact same 13.5 nanometer extreme ultraviolet light. Same wavelength, different physics to get there. And crucially, a completely different set of patents, meaning China avoided a huge legal and technological wall that would have blocked a direct copy. The strategic cleverness of LDP goes beyond just sidestepping patents. Mechanically, it is simpler than the LPP approach. Fewer insanely complex laser control systems, a more compact light source architecture, and lower energy consumption per unit of light generated. The trade-off historically has been raw power output. LDP systems have struggled to generate enough EUV light intensity for high-volume chip manufacturing. We will come back to that limitation because it is real and important. But the point is that China chose this path deliberately, and it shows a level of strategic sophistication that Washington clearly underestimated. The prototype, as reported, is not a small device. While ASML machines are famous for being engineered to fit neatly onto a factory floor, they are roughly the size of a double-decker bus and weigh around 180 tons. The Chinese version reportedly fills an entire factory floor by itself. That is not a failure of engineering. That is actually a deliberate trade-off. And when you cannot match your competitor on miniaturization because you lack certain precision manufacturing capabilities, you compensate by making things larger. You spread out the optical path. You give yourself more room to work with less precise components. It is a cruder approach, but it points photons at the right place, and right now in this race, that matters enormously. Let us talk about the two hardest technical problems in EUV manufacturing, because China has had to solve both, and their current position on each is different. The first is the optics. At EUV wavelengths, light cannot pass through any kind of glass lens. Glass absorbs it completely. So instead of lenses, EUV systems use mirrors, but not ordinary mirrors. These are mirrors coated with alternating layers of molybdenum and silicon, with hundreds of layers stacked so precisely that if you scaled one of these mirrors up to the size of a continent, the largest surface irregularity would be about the size of a small pebble. Historically, only one company in the world could manufacture these mirrors at the required quality, Zeiss, based in Germany. That is the other half of ASML's secret. And Zeiss is now also subject to export controls. Germany is not selling those precision mirrors to China. So China had to build their own. And here is what is remarkable about where they stand today. A research institute in China called CIOM, the Changchun Institute of Optics and Fine Mechanics, has reportedly developed molybdenum silicon multilayer mirrors achieving around 65% reflectivity. Zeiss mirrors for ASML systems achieve closer to 70%. A 5 percentage point gap sounds small, but here is the brutal compounding math that makes this difference so painful in practice. An EUV system does not use one mirror. It uses between 10 and 12 mirrors in the optical path. Every single bounce, you lose a percentage of your light. If each mirror reflects 65% instead of 70%, the losses multiply across every bounce. And by the time the light reaches the wafer, you have lost a staggering portion of your total output. China's current solution is to compensate by accepting lower efficiency and scaling up components. It is not elegant, but it works as a starting point, and the gap is nowhere near as wide as it was 2 years ago. The second technical challenge is helium. This one surprises most people. EUV manufacturing consumes enormous quantities of helium for cooling systems, for maintaining the inert atmosphere required, because EUV light reacts with basically everything, and for leak detection throughout the precision plumbing. There is no practical substitute for helium in this application. China imports most of its helium primarily from the United States and Qatar. So in a move that shows how thoroughly Beijing has thought through the supply chain implications of all of this, China has already begun restricting its own helium exports in order to prioritize domestic fab consumption. They are protecting their supply before the problem becomes critical. Now, let us look at where the prototype actually stands in terms of performance, because the numbers here are honest, and they paint a picture of a machine that is real but limited. The light source in the Chinese prototype reportedly outputs around 100 watts, with some optimistic sources pushing that to 150 watts. Compare that to ASML's timeline. They were hitting 250 watts back in 2017, 7 years ago, which was enough to process around 125 wafers per hour. Their current commercial systems run at approximately 600 watts. And in February 2026, ASML announced a breakthrough toward a 1,000 watt light source, with a stated path to 2,500 watts and beyond, projecting up to 330 wafers per hour by 2030. The Chinese prototype is processing roughly 10 wafers per hour. At 100 to 150 watts of output, it sits at about a third of the absolute minimum threshold that high-volume manufacturing requires. But, and this is the part that the headlines almost always miss, the Chinese prototype does not need to match ASML to be strategically important, not even slightly. Here's why. Right now, Chinese fabs like SMICA are manufacturing advanced chips without any EUV at all. They are using older DUV machines, deep ultraviolet, a different and less capable technology, in combination with a technique called multi-patterning. Multi-patterning means running the same wafer through the lithography machine multiple times, layering patterns to fake the resolution that EUV gives you in a single exposure. SMIC has stretched this technique to what analysts are now calling its absolute theoretical limit, producing chips at a 7 nanometer class process and pushing toward 5 nanometer class using this brute force workaround. SMIC's yields on these advanced nodes are currently estimated at somewhere between 30 and 40%, compared to TSMC's 80+% on equivalent nodes. Every extra pass through this machine is another chance for contamination, misalignment, or defect. The yields are poor, the cost per chip is enormous. The US government subsidizes some of it, and Beijing subsidizes more of it, because making these chips is considered a national security priority regardless of economics. So now imagine you take even a limited EUV machine running at 10 wafers per hour. Slow, yes. Factory floor sized, yes. Still partly assembled from salvaged components taken from older ASML machines and lenses from Nikon and Canon, which the Reuters reporting specifically noted. This machine has not yet produced a single working chip. But even this machine, if it can eventually print the most critical lithography layers of a chip design using EUV instead of multi-patterning, would transform the economics and the yield of Chinese advanced chip manufacturing. You would replace multiple slow, expensive, yield-destroying passes through a DUV machine with a single EUV exposure on the most critical layers. That alone would push yields up, push costs down, and accelerate China's ability to manufacture competitive AI chips at volume. Because here is what is already happening at the manufacturing level, independent of the EUV prototype. Huawei is targeting production of 1.6 million high-end logic chip dies in 2026 for AI accelerators. SMIC has expanded its advanced node capacity toward 60,000 wafer starts per month. A bill working through the United States Congress is now specifically targeting the ability of Chinese fabs to continue purchasing and servicing even the older generation DUV machines they currently depend on. The American Enterprise Institute published a major report in April 2026, warning that China is exploiting what they called a lithography loophole, using the DUV machines they legally purchased before restrictions tightened to print near-frontier AI chips at scale, chips competitive enough to power Huawei's Ascend AI accelerator series. Meanwhile, NVIDIA, which once controlled more than 90% of the Chinese AI chip market, has seen that share fall toward 50%, as domestic alternatives become credible and American chips become politically and economically unviable inside China. The bifurcation of the global chip ecosystem is not a future threat. It is already happening. And now, on top of all of that, there's a functional EUV prototype sitting in a Shenzhen lab. Even ASML's own CEO acknowledged in April 2025 that China would need many, many more years to develop a competitive EUV product. He might still be right about when it becomes competitive, but the machine exists, it makes light, and that fundamentally changes the psychological and strategic landscape of this entire competition. Let us zoom out for a moment and think about what this actually means at the geopolitical level. The entire architecture of American semiconductor export controls rests on a single assumption, that there are certain things China simply cannot build and therefore cannot do. The EUV machine was the crown jewel of that argument. It was the perfect choke point precisely because it seemed genuinely unbreachable. You cannot make advanced chips without EUV. You cannot make EUV machines without decades of accumulated expertise, unique precision manufacturing capabilities, and components from Germany and Japan that are also export controlled. Therefore, China stays permanently stuck at a lower technological level. That was the logic. Clean, elegant, and now it has a crack in it. A crack is not the same as a collapse. Let us be honest about that. The machine in Shenzhen has not produced chips. Its light source runs at roughly a third of the minimum power required for commercial production. Its mirrors are less reflective than the German standard. It was partially built using salvaged parts from machines made by the very company it is trying to replace. Getting from a working prototype to a reliable high-volume production tool is a journey that took ASML itself more than a decade. The precision photoresist chemistry, the metrology systems that measure whether circuits are printing correctly down to fractions of a nanometer, the software that controls every moving part of the system with atomic precision, all of that has to work together, flawlessly, millions of times per day, in an industrial environment. That is not a 3-year engineering problem. It is possible that realistic chip production from this program is 2030 or later, but here is what the Western semiconductor establishment got wrong, and what this moment proves. The assumption was not just that it would take China a long time. The assumption was that the wall was fundamentally unclimbable, that the physics, the patent landscape, the supply chain dependencies, the sheer accumulated knowledge required, added up to an insurmountable barrier. What China has done is demonstrate that the wall is not unclimbable. It is just very tall. And once you know a wall can be climbed, the question is no longer whether, it is when. And in this industry, when is a very dangerous question to leave unanswered. The most important metric to watch over the next 18 to 24 months is not whether China produces a chip with their EUV machine, though that will be a massive story when it happens. The most important signal is the light source output number. Right now, they are at 100 to 150 watts. If they can push that toward 250 watts, they cross the threshold from laboratory prototype into early production tool. That jump from 150 to 250 watts is where this goes from a political story to an industrial revolution. Because 250 watts is where the machine starts making economic sense. It is where the cost per wafer begins to fall. It is where Chinese fabs start genuinely considering whether to run this machine on their most advanced production lines. That is the number. Watch for it. Meanwhile, ASML is not standing still. In February 2026, the company announced its own light source breakthrough, with a clear path to 1,000 watts and beyond, targeting 1,500 watts, and stating there is no fundamental physical barrier to reaching 2,000 watts in the future. The gap between China's 150 watts and ASML's roadmap to 2,000 watts is enormous, but the gap between impossible and very difficult is infinitely larger. And China just crossed it. The race is no longer about whether China will develop EUV. It is about how fast the gap closes and whether American and European policy can stay ahead of it. There is one final thing I want to say, and it is the part that does not get enough attention in any of the coverage I have seen. What China has built in Shenzhen is not just a machine. It is proof of concept for a completely different model of technological development. When you cannot buy the technology, you hire the people who designed it. When you cannot copy the patent, you engineer a different physical path to the same result. When your mirrors are not as good as Germany's, you make your components bigger to compensate. When your helium supply is vulnerable, you restrict your own exports to protect it before the crisis hits. Every single step of this has been strategic, systematic, and frankly, sophisticated in a way that deserves serious acknowledgement. None of that means it is not a problem. It is a massive problem for American technology policy. But understanding your adversary clearly is the first step to responding effectively. And what should be clear by now is that dismissing China's semiconductor ambitions as wishful thinking was a catastrophic miscalculation. The wall that everyone said would hold forever has a crack in it. In this industry, cracks have a way of turning into doors, and what is on the other side of that door will define who controls the future of artificial intelligence, of military technology, of economic power in the 21st century. The chip war just entered a new phase, and the United States and ASML need to respond to the China that actually exists, not the one they assumed would give up and go home. That is the story. If this gave you something to think about, hit like because it helps more people find this channel. Subscribe if you want to be here when the next chapter breaks, because trust me, this is far from over.